Hello, everyone. You're listening to week 13 of Monday Night Chats with Dazz, and today is December 4th, 2017, and I'm looking in the chat right now, and I don't know if Nils is still in, but I know he was in a little earlier. I'm trying out a new chat window, but I've been using the new community chat app, community chat tab for the channel, so I want to go over a couple of stories that I posted there. And hi, Ashley Dixon. Let me see if I can pull up screen share really quick, because I was asked if I could look at one of these stories, and it comes from the Mirror. It's about mass hysteria, and it's another story of teenagers in South America who exhibited signs of demonic possession. Okay. All right. Let me check back in the chat really quick and see if you guys can see the screen. Sorry. Okay, and I see that Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. popped in, as well as Josh S. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen, but all right, I think it's on. But according to this story, 3 teenage girls aged 17 to 19 terrified other classmates after they suddenly collapsed and began convulsing during a lesson. The disturbing footage has emerged of a girl writhing like a snake in a rural village where locals believe 11 teenagers have been possessed. A priest was filmed carrying out an exorcism on one scene from Santiago de Salavina in Argentina after youngsters aged between 17 and 19 years old started showing strange symptoms. The students from school Palma Zalazo de Gramajo terrified other classmates after they suddenly collapsed and began convulsing during class. Spiritual healers, priests, and psychologists have been desperately trying to work out what is wrong with the teenagers, but they all remain stumped. And here's some pictures. Sorry if my PC is a bit slow. These are pictures from the footage of the exorcism. Terrified parents have already held several meetings with the school, fearing their children have been affected by black magic or possessed by a spirit that haunts the grounds, reports InfoBay. Footage of Julio Elias, who presents himself as a healer, shows him grabbing hold of one of the girls by the head as he tries to rid her of evil spirits. With rosary beads in one hand, he places his hand on her forehead, which appears to send her diving to the floor when she writhes around on the ground, seemingly without being able to control it. And we see more pictures here. All right, guys, I'm going to look back in the chat, but I just found it very interesting that we're seeing another case of demonic possession in school, because we saw that in Peru, we saw it in Venezuela, I believe, and then there was a shadow that certain children in, I want to say it was Thailand, it was a South Asian country that they saw it in. And we're seeing more instances of these things, and of course it's being written off as mass hysteria, while the locals are saying it's caused from black magic. And I see Juan Diaz popped in and Dead Corpse, and they asked, what is the importance of all this? I mean, I've delved into this enough. I just want people to tell me why we are more focused on the problem than any solution or a supernatural way out. And hi, Free OK. I think the point of going over some of these stories is just to raise awareness of what's going on. I understand for some people that it might seem repetitive or even not much use to talk about it, but looking at what's going on in different parts of the world, especially like outside of America or outside of Europe, and seeing just how these things are more prevalent. I don't necessarily agree with the method of exorcisms, but it does seem like we're seeing more instances of demonic manifestations at schools. I see that Ashley Dixon said the solution is Jesus. I agree. And Nils Otteson said Catholic exorcisms does not work. You cannot cast out devils with another devil. I agree with you there, Nils. I mean, I'm definitely skeptical of their methods. I've heard about holy water being demonic in and within itself, but I guess in a lot of these places, because they were colonized by those who practice Catholicism, that's their method of going about casting out evil spirits, unfortunately. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, is responding to Dead Corpse, and I see Demetrius X said the Most High is the solution, and hi, Demetrius X. I totally agree with you there. Hi, Flash Missing 2024, and I see that they said, I can use astral projection to go into the spirit realm with demons to curse the region and take over with principalities. Do you think Christians can stop me? I'm not quite sure what to say about that. So are you saying that you're putting curses on people on the astral plane then? And I see Demetrius X said any form of divination is wicked. I agree with you there, Demetrius X, all the way. Something else that I wanted to look at as well, and I'm sorry guys if I'm jumping like stories really quick. If you have any more commentary, just go ahead and put it out in the chat. I'm just gonna do the show for an hour today because I have family over and right now they stepped out. But the other thing is that after tonight's stream, I'm gonna take a month off from doing streams, so the next stream will be in 2018, probably January sometime. But there was another story that I really wanted to just at least look at, and that was about Sophia, because she's saying that she wants to have a baby. And I found that interesting because it goes with the AI agenda, and it's something I shared on the community tab. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, let me see on screen share really quick if I can pull it up for you guys. Okay. All right, so here's the screen share right here. I have the community tab, and it really depends on if you're on a PC, a mobile device. I think you can only access it from like a desktop. So for those of you who access YouTube from your phone, unless you put it on desktop mode, I don't think you'll be able to see this, but they've obviously replaced the discussion area with community, and I've just been using it to post some stories every now and then that I find interesting, and that's where I'm pulling most of these stories from. But one thing I'm going to start doing on here is taking polls for different video series that I'm doing. So since I'm doing the death cult series, I'm going to cover another death cult. And so I gave 4 options, and so far there's 45 votes. I think for those of you who are taking the poll, I don't think you can see the results of it, but right now it looks like I'm leaning more toward doing the Beast of Satan cults video. So I just wanted to show you guys this feature in case you're unfamiliar with it, and here's a place you can look out for more stories. But let me get over to the story about the Saudi robot. Sophia now wants to have a baby. So I find this interesting because, as we well know, they're really pushing Sophia forward. I mean, she's spoken at the UN. She's a Saudi citizen. I was talking with Nils, and I've heard that they're working on some type of city that's going to be more or less robotic. And it's interesting that they're trying to more or less humanize her. And I believe these words are by Sophia. I think you're very lucky if you have a loving family, and if you do not, you deserve one, she added. I feel this way for robots and humans alike. And a little bit above this that I skipped over, it said, I think it's wonderful that people can find the same emotions and relationships they call family outside of their blood groups too. It says that the topic was first brought up when Sophia was asked whether she foresees robots living in households together similar to the way human families do. And she replied, we're going to see family robots, either in the form of sort of digitally animated companions, humanoid helpers, friends, assistants, and everything in between, she responded. And we can see here's a picture of Sophia and what looks like another AI robot. I mean, they're making them look more human-like. And I do remember the creator saying that he wanted the AI to look more human-esque, to the point that they would be indistinguishable from everyday people. When asked what she would name her robot child, she answered Sophia. And I found that pretty interesting as well. She said, I'm very honored and proud for this unique distinction. She said on Summit Stage, this is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with citizenship. So I'm going to stop reading here. There's a lot more to it, but I'm going to jump back in the chat. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm jumping around a bit. Just trying to make sure that I'm showing the screen, but let me scroll up the chat a little bit. I see that Ben stopped by and he said, I just drink water and keep healthy. That's always a good start. I agree with you there. Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, no one needs to stop you, Flash. Okay, and he's replying to him, God has already stopped you. Your mission will lead you nowhere. God bless you, Dazzle. Thank you, Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr., and God bless you too. Hi, Shootback. He said, you lost me at the astral shower stream. I'm not quite sure what Shootback is referring to. Josh S. said, what I don't understand is when priests just splash holy water on a person, expect that to work other than anger the spirit and do nothing. Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I've heard that, the Catholic Church obviously has its ties back to the Luciferian religion, and some of the holy water has to do with the occult. Kevin Arthur Zyminski said, just a second, guys. The devil is a defeated foe. I agree with you there. Demetrius X said Levitical laws in chapter 11 about divination. Even in the book of Samuel, the Most High casted wicked spirits on Saul because he inquired. Ghosts and demons. That's why Yah told David to play his lyre. It's very true. Kevin Arthur Zyminski said right on, Demetrius. Hi, Angie Pittman. And I see that she said, hey, fan brethren in Christ, I'll be listening to the broadcast while driving. Park now. Love your channel, Dazzling One. Thank you, Angie. And thank you for listening in. Juan Diaz asked, hey, Dazzling One, you said you were going to show your face. When will that be? It'll be sometime down in the, I'd say, within probably another 6 months or more, just because at the moment I'm not ready. And like I've discussed on past streams, I get this question a lot. And I understand people that are uncomfortable with anonymity, but at least where I'm at, if I were to show my face, the likelihood of people around me knowing what I did, I'd have to definitely explain it to them. And where I live isn't the most diverse area. I look different than my neighbors and a lot of my classmates. So it would definitely be more than just like revealing it to you. It would also be me having to come out and talk to other people around me about the channel. And that's something that I'm not ashamed of, but at the same time, I know not everything on this channel is considered politically correct, and it would take a lot of explaining. But I will do so down the line, because in the spring, I plan to also talk a little bit about the books that I'm self-publishing. And I feel like if I'm going to talk about them, it's important that you guys see my face and I'm not just some faceless person telling you about something I wrote. Hi, Sister Joy, and I see she's saying that there isn't anything about Sophia that makes me believe she is genuine AI. She seems very staged, like one of those cheesy rides at Disney. Interesting. I haven't heard anyone like look at Sophia from that angle, but I've heard people say that she's really creepy, but she does seem like some of her answers are pretty staged to fit the narrative and to keep making headlines every time she speaks. I see that Josh S said that Sophia bot is going to want its own house and pets next. LOL. Yeah. She'll probably be like Barbie, you know, she'll get her own house, her own pets, and we'll probably hear about Sophia purchasing like a expensive home somewhere. Juan Diaz said, wow, human-like robots, just like in the Terminator, LOL. Yeah, it's getting to that point. We're probably going to see some Terminator-esque looking robots. And then, of course, we'll have, it'll just be really interesting to see. I lost my train of thought, but what comes out of all of this AI news. Josh S said, yeah, I wonder if they're actually programming her to say what to push along their agendas on the public. It could very well be the case because it does seem like she always has the right things to say that will make headlines. Niels Odison said, wow, those robots are ugly. Well, don't be too hard on Sophia and the other AI. I mean, they're doing their best, I guess, with the robots. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about the sex robots. I mean, I think they look creepy too. I wonder when they're going to start looking more indistinguishable. But right now, you can still see that they're pretty different from regular people. Niels Odison said, does Sophia drink motor oil? I don't know. I mean, I don't think she does, but I wouldn't be too surprised after all. She is a robot. Hi, Event Skeptic, and I see that he said, hey, Dazz, your voice brightens up Mondays. And he says it's the new Stephen Hawking type. Yeah, it does seem that way. And Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said sex robots, an abomination. Yes, they are an abomination. I mean, my teacher actually mentioned them because somebody brought them up, and she talked about some documentary. I don't know if you guys had seen it about the sex robots, but it's made basically to get you to sympathize with the men that are using these robots as companions. Hi, Peyton Vaughn. Hi, Bridget Guerrera. Ben said, how dare you, Nils? Sophia drinks only the finest diesel. Yeah. I'm going to show you guys another story really fast that I just found funny. I mean, I don't know, could be fake news, but it did give me a good laugh, and I shared it with on the community tab. But let me pull it up on screen share really fast again. All right, so I came across this story, and at first I was like, are they for real? But I wouldn't be too surprised if it was. I mean, it could be fake. There was another story that came out back in September or October where there was a runner and she was pooping on people's lawns. So maybe there's a trend of people who don't use the bathroom. They decide to use people's driveways. But as you can see, delivery driver for Amazon caught on camera pooping on man's driveway. And it says here, a homeowner in Sacramento County, California, is down in the dumps after an Amazon delivery contractor left a pile of feces in front of his house. Nemi Batista wasn't home on Tuesday when the driver pooped in front of his house, but he saw the excrement evidence when he came home. Batista then checked his surveillance cameras and noticed the driver squatting on the passenger side of the truck. He tried to get to the bottom of this mess by contacting Amazon via this Facebook post. Why is your driver squatting in front of my house? Let me give you a hint. She is not tying their shoes. I have it on video. And you can see here's the picture of it all going down. You can see right here the person squatting, and I guess this is supposed to be Nemi Batista's icon on Twitter or Facebook, which is of a Dazz. Batista told local station KBT that the driver's supervisor, he was in a shock when he saw the size of it. Batista said bag, but he didn't want to take it, with him. It smelled really bad. CBS Sacramento that he suspects the garbage can will smell like S word for the next few days. He added, I also had to hose down the gutter sidewalk area after the suit. An Amazon spokesperson told HuffPost that the majority of packages this holiday season are being delivered without issue, and that the company tried to work quickly to make this particular situation right. The online retail giant also issued an official statement. This does not reflect the high standards we have for delivery service providers. This individual is no longer delivering Amazon packages, and we're in direct communication with the customer. The company gave Batista a gift card to apologize for all the crap he had to deal with, but he told KTXL TV that his real concern was for the customers who had packages delivered by the driver after that person pooped. So, as you guys can see, I guess this is a picture of the guy who did it, but I'm going to go back over to the chat real fast and see what you guys are saying. All right, I see that. Josh S is saying Sophia is low-key. Darn it, I'm losing track of the chat here. Sophia is low-key planning to kill her creator, LOL. I mean, that is the next step if this is a movie. But I wouldn't be too surprised if she did, of course. They'd probably cover it up if she did that. Niels Ottison said Diesel gave Sophia a runny stomach. I'm seeing that Event Skeptic is saying that is crazy, and Bridget Guerrero is saying, oh my god, I've seen this. Yeah, I mean, the story is crazy, and it's just disgusting. I see that Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. said, I have several 11 or 12 Serious Robotics videos on my channel if anyone is interested. We'll have to check it out, Kevin Arthur Zyminski Jr. If after the show you want to leave a link to your channel, then feel free to, but I'll have to remember that and go check it out. Ben said he just needed to go to the bathroom. It just so happens that his porch was right there. And I see that Niels Ottison said, a Mason did that pooping. Normal behavior for a lodge walker. Freemasons. I mean, either way, I mean, that's poor behavior to go pooping out on somebody's driveway. I mean, that's pretty out there to do that. But, I mean, if someone needs to go, I mean, it's not as if in most communities there's not like a gas station too far away, but that's just so disgusting. I mean, did he think about if somebody walked behind him and saw him squatting, how traumatized it would be looking at him mooning them? But I guess he didn't care because he had to go. But I just find the whole incident just insane. And one of the last things that I found that I posted on the community tab, because I did have another story, and that was simply just a link to the testimony about the man who's an transgender. He actually got a sex change to be a woman when he was like middle-aged, and he kind of goes over how he got to that state of mind with gender dysphoria. But I left a link to that, and I discussed it a little bit in last week's stream, so I won't go too much into it. But I see Josh S said, I want to hear the pooper side of the story. It would be really interesting to hear like what that man's side of the story is. I mean, what he would say about it. And you gotta wonder what's going through his head if he's willing to take such a risk. But this last story that I'll share, and then anything you guys just want to ask, is a free-for-all, but let me pull it up on the screen share real fast. Okay, so according to some public health officials are saying that Tinder and Grindr don't want to talk about their role in rising STDs. Health experts see online dating as a new frontier for STD prevention, but major sites don't want to engage. So, as we can see here, it says that in 2015, health officials in Rhode Island released data showing a dramatic spike in cases of syphilis, 79%, gonorrhea, 30%, and HIV, 33%, in the previous year. The uptick, they said, wasn't an outlier. It was part of a national trend. And while some of the new cases could be attributed to better testing, officials for the first time said STD rates were rising because of certain high-risk behaviors, including using online dating sites to arrange casual and often anonymous sexual encounters. Since then, the trend for several STDs nationwide has only gotten worse, according to a September report from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. There were more than 2 million cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis reported in the United States in 2016, the highest cumulative number ever recorded. Not only are we at an all-time high, Gail Boland, the director of the Division of STD Prevention at the CDC, told me, but we're starting to see increases in all kinds of communities. There are a few reasons cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis are on the rise. For instance, epidemiologists have documented a rise in sex without condoms among men who have sex with men. But health experts increasingly view apps and sites such as Tinder, Grindr, and OkCupid and enablers of high-risk sex, helping people to meet and hook up more efficiently than ever before. The impact of these sites is profound. They're also transforming the way health officials track and prevent outbreaks. And you guys can read more about it, but I'm not going to spend the rest of the time reading it. But as you guys can see, and I'm not too surprised why a lot of these apps could be contributing, simply because a lot of people simply use these apps to go hook up and nothing more. I mean, it's kind of sad because you do have people who get on these dating apps and they're looking for a serious relationship. Meanwhile, somebody else could care less about forming a serious relationship. And you never know what kind of people are prowling around on there. Some of them have STDs, some of them are aware of that and simply don't care and choose to sleep with people, and some know what they're doing. So it's just, people need to be safe when they're getting on these apps. I mean, I obviously don't endorse fornication or hookup culture, but at the same time, I mean, it's just terrible to see STDs on the rise. And like you said, and I see that I'm getting back into the chat here, but I see that Jay Traficante popped in and he said, gross. Yes, it is very gross. And Event Skeptic said, STDs are for sure manifestations of sinful actions. I totally agree with you there. Josh S. said, society always makes fun of virgins while everyone else is out getting STDs, so that's the price they pay. Yes, it's funny how, like, on one side, they make fun of you for being like a virgin. I mean, especially men. They make fun of male virgins more so than female virgins, but anymore now, even being a female virgin past a certain age, people look at them like they have some type of phobia of sex. But at the same time, there are these rising percentages of people with STDs, and they want to continue to endorse like hookup culture when this is happening. And I don't know, I always say, like, to me, even if I wasn't looking at sleeping around or hooking up with anybody from a quote unquote what some might think of as a religious angle, or looking at it biblically, I would just be concerned about the disease aspect of it, because once you got one of those STDs, especially the ones that are incurable like herpes or AIDS or human papillomavirus, that's really hard to live with. And I couldn't imagine having to live with like sleeping with the wrong person for the rest of my life. One of my high school teachers, he was a health teacher, he talked about how he had a friend who, back when they were in high school, his friend was infatuated with this girl. He felt he loved her, and everybody knew this girl had herpes, but this guy was like he loves her, he doesn't care, so he slept with her. And of course, he got herpes, and she broke up with him and left him, and now he's stuck with herpes for the rest of his life. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could overcome that for someone, just even if I like them a lot. I mean, I don't know. That's just me, but I find that really sad. But I mean, there are people that are willing to take that risk, and some people just simply don't care and they sleep around. And I see that Event Skeptic said sex is super special. It will only bring good when love is involved, and that takes time. Very true. And he said hookup culture, is that even real? Yes, hookup culture. Basically, hookup culture is just another way of saying like people are choosing, rather than having relationships, they're choosing to have one night stands, or meet people and just basically one night stands, screw them, and there's no strings attached and nobody gets hurt. However, we know that oftentimes people do get hurt from it, but I think it takes a lot of desensitized and sometimes people who have been emotionally hurt to get to the point where, especially with women, I'd say, they don't have a problem being a sperm receptacle, or I don't want to get graphic with all of the descriptions, but it just seems like it really would desensitize someone. I mean, I get that some people may have the temptation of, like, if they're in a long-term relationship with someone they feel they love and they decide they want to sleep with them. I mean, I believe in waiting till marriage because that's what the Bible says. You're not supposed to do it outside of marriage. But if someone has that temptation and they fall prey to it, that makes more sense to me than you meet someone, you sleep with them, you don't know if they got an STD or not. And that reminds me of a movie that I saw recently. But I see that Niels Addison said sodomites collect STDs. Yeah, there's a lot of prevalence of STDs in the homosexual community. Bridget Guerrero said, I feel the same way, Dazz. Ben said, STDs gotta catch them all, LOL. Nah, but seriously, STDs have been around since ancient times. It's just that they didn't have specific names for them. Yeah, and it's crazy to think how many people could have had STDs back then, but they didn't even know what they were. I mean, they might have thought they got sick, but now we got names for them on the books. And Event Skeptic said, that's crazy. I couldn't do that. I am way too emo. I'm not sure what he's referring to there. And hi, Aeon Cage. But yeah, there is a movie I saw recently. It's I guess, a horror movie. Or some might class it as science fiction. And obviously, it was poking fun at the idea of someone having unprotected sex. And pretty much, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Contracted. And I may see if I can pull up a picture of it. But pretty much, this woman, she goes to a party. She's in a lesbian relationship, but while she's at the party, she starts drinking with this other woman who basically wants her as well. And there's this other person at the party, this guy who wants her as well. Everybody wants her, basically wants to screw her. And I see Ann Clay, just like, it's the topic STDs. And hi, Alex Valdez. Right now we're on STDs. We've been kind of jumping around topic to topic. I shared a few articles, but since we're on the topic STDs real quick, I'm just bringing up this movie before it slips my mind because I wanted to share it, but I didn't know how it would fit into a video. But yeah, this woman's at this party and she sleeps with this random guy that she starts talking to. And this guy at the beginning of the film, and if you want to see this, then I guess I'm going to spoil it for you, so I'm sorry, shut your ears, but he was basically doing a corpse. And so she sleeps with him, and it kind of turns from like her wanting to have sex or not wanting to, and she gets sick, and just disgusting stuff starts happening to her, like her fingernails start falling out, her hair starts falling out, and basically she gets sick, and she basically starts becoming like dead, like a zombie from this sexually transmitted disease, and she spreads it to somebody else. But it is a weird take on sexually transmitted diseases in a horror type of sense. And, it makes me think also of like another movie, It Follows, which I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard of it, but this, young woman, she has sex with this guy, and he passes on a spirit, and everybody they sleep with, the spirit will follow them and kill them. And it's also sexually transmitted as well, but just had to throw that out there while we were on the topic. And I see that Bridget Guerrero said, check out the series Angels in America. So much symbolism in the occult, esoteric, and predictive programming. I'll have to check that out. And are you referring to, when you say Angels in America, I know there was a play, I believe, that was called Angels in America, but it might be something different. Okay, I see what you're looking at. Let me see if I can. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to utilize screen share, get more familiar with it. So this week I'm guinea pigging it, but okay, so I see Bridget Guerrero brought up Angels in America, the TV series, and it says playwright Tony Kushner adapts his political epic about AIDS crisis during the mid-'80s around a group of separate but connected individuals. And I see it has, just from that description alone, a lot to do with STDs, but it's very interesting that they put that out there. Yeah, they will definitely, even another film, I don't really recommend it for children at all, but another film that addressed kind of the AIDS epidemic was called Kids, and that movie was pretty inappropriate. I mean, everyone, according to the producer, director, whoever wrote it, they said that it was everyone was over the age of 18 in it, but it was pretty much kids running around having sex in New York City, and they spread the AIDS virus. But it's crazy, I mean, how different diseases can spread so fast, and people don't even think too much about it. I see that. Let me scroll up, guys. Sometimes I run my mouse so long that I miss things in the chat. And I see that Event Skeptic is talking about the necrophilia, and yuck. Yes, necrophilia is disgusting. I don't know why anybody would want to engage in it. And Alex Valdez said, oh, yes, I've seen it. I'm guessing we were talking about It Follows or maybe Contracted. I'm not sure which one, since I brought up like two different movies. And Ann Kate said, Dazz, what do you think of targeted individuals? Do you think that the government can transmit things into people's heads, like frequencies or whatever? When it comes to like targeted individuals, that's a topic of its own, but I do believe in voice-to-school technology and them using electronic harassment to create symptoms that would mimic what some might think of as schizophrenic or, being demonically oppressed. I do believe, of course, people can have spirits that are bothering them as well, but sometimes it can be done through technology. So yes, I do believe in it. Even the scandal from Cuba with the sonic technology, it kind of mimics that, of course. They're saying that Cuba targeted U.S. Embassy individuals. Bridget Guerrero said Al Pacino and Meryl Streep, and it's on Netflix. Crystal Keith. Hi, Crystal Keith. And I see that Nils Ottesen said AIDS was constructed at Fort Detrick Labs. I'm a firm believer in AIDS being something that was manufactured, just because it definitely spread to the right populations. And there's definitely people that are bi, that go both ways. I guess now they're calling themselves pansexual because they want to kind of do away with the whole idea of the gender binary when it comes to sleeping with people. But whether they call themselves bisexual, pansexual, there's definitely a lot of crossover from those communities. Hi, Field Marshal Nate, and I see that Jay Traficante said, I once heard someone refer to this hypersexualization of everything, the fappening, masturbating, and how people basically worship the booty. Think Kim K, and how it ties to osculum and fame. Yes, I have heard that theory before. It's very interesting. And, there's nothing new under the sun. And it's funny how even when we think of people's sexual preferences or what they find normal, that they influence that, because a lot of kids growing up, even adults, we're socialized by what we see on TV. There's predictive programming, there's social engineering going on, and a lot of people will form their physical attractions based on what is seen as physically attractive on TV. Also the sex scenes, the people they select for that, and the sexualization of certain individuals. So It's definitely some push to get people to worship the butt, for sure. I see Jay Traficante said the shameful kiss. Yes. And let me see if I can pull up a picture of that too really quick, just because, again, guys, I'm trying to use this advantage of the screen share. But I'm hoping that everything I'm doing here is coming out clear on the screen for everybody that's watching right now. Let's see. Plan it up now, and yes, the shameful kiss right here, as we can see. The witches, they're basically going to kiss the devil's butt, hence the phrase kiss my A. But yeah, it's nothing new under the sun when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's crazy how a lot of stuff we have is just rehashed from the past, you know, how much of our television is based on mythology. Peyton Vaughn said, I'm 22, going to mortuary school to be an embalmer, and I was curious about your thoughts on demonic influence with the deceased. By the way, I don't believe in ghosts. Hey, so Peyton Vaughn, first off, I want to commend you on being 22 and being awake, because I know, like, a lot of people that listen in and watch a lot of videos, you know, they're a lot older, so congrats also being in mortuary school. But when it comes to demonic influence on the deceased, I don't necessarily believe that, like you, I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that spirits will try to linger around grave sites. There's a lot of people who are into the occult who will go to the graveyards to gain some kind of demonic power or make pacts. But the dead themselves, I don't think, are a risk of demonic influence. I'd say the reason graves may have some spirits lingering there is maybe because of the gravestones, but I don't believe like just handling dead people alone or embalming them is going to have some type of direct demonic influence. Event Skeptic said AIDS is a hoax. It is the meds that kills them. I found a number of people just test positive for AIDS and it means nothing. Interesting. I mean, I don't know anyone who's personally had AIDS. I've only seen the, like, you know, of course, you know, the videos where people are like sickly skinny and they're like dying of AIDS. But I mean, there's just so much when it comes to, like, you know, medicine. Even some of the medicine they claim is helpful isn't helpful. It's actually harming people instead of helping them. And, you know, that gets into like the whole pharmaceutical industry and big pharma as well, and that giant conspiracy. Hi, Gigi. And I see that Event Skeptic said our minds and the diagnosis is the problem we bring the reality into being through our thoughts. I mean, there's definitely some mind over matter when it comes to sickness. But I do believe sometimes, you know, people's bodies can, you know, deteriorate or get sick as well, like with bacteria or viruses. And I see Event Skeptic says you were screen sharing, champ. You learned super fast, but thanks. I'm trying here, but next time that I do the show, I'll have to make sure to do more screen shares if you guys want that. I mean, are you guys enjoying the screen sharing? I'm just using it to kind of bring points so you guys don't just see the boring logo the whole time talking. But Jay Traficante said people are knowingly doing sex magic. Yeah, there's a lot of magic and energy that goes into the act of sex. Jay Traficante said not doing, but influenced by. I see that Event Skeptic said interferon kills and so does chemo. Yes, chemo definitely kills. I'm not familiar with interferon though, but if it's anything like chemo, then I'm with you that it would kill. I see Gigi said love to see screen sharing. Thanks for telling me that. I'll have to make sure to include more of it. And I see Field Marshal Nay said I won't be around for the next show. Oh, that's too bad. I mean, I'm not doing another show, guys, until January sometime because this is the last one of 2017 for those of you who are coming in late to the chat, just because there's a lot going on right now. And as far as like finals, family coming in. But if I could do more shows throughout the year, I would. But we're going to resume season 2 next year. Just kidding. It's not a show, but, well, not a TV show, but I just wanted to call it season 2. And I see that Event Skeptic says you can put the chat on the screen as well. I will send you some more tips. Yes, screen share your thoughts. You're doing great. Thanks, guys. And would you guys prefer to see the chat on the screen from time to time? Because for those who are maybe listening or who listen later, they could definitely benefit from that as well. Let me see if I can do that really fast. Okay. Well, okay. I think it's up there now. Okay, Sister Joy said the conversation is great. Screen share shot or no screenshot. Thanks, Sister Joy. Ann Cage said, I have this picture in my head of what you look like, LOL. You know how it is when you only ever hear a voice. You don't have to put a face to it, LOL. Yeah, I'm sure you guys do have like an image in your mind. I'm pretty sure though, I'm pretty sure that I look different than you guys probably imagine, but I understand, like, whenever I hear someone's voice, especially a lot of other faceless YouTubers, I always imagine them, but sometimes you're surprised by them, or maybe some of you guys are so good you could imagine me and what I look like. Peyton Vaughn said, thank you, ma'am. I do appreciate your content and keep a dream journal now because of you. That's good to hear. And yeah, dream journals are so important, especially like if you're having dreams that might even be prophetic, to write them down, or even dreams just to keep track of like what's going on in your life, because I do believe dreams help us understand the stage of life we're at. I see Event Skeptic said, ooh, I'll pray for you, Dazz. Good luck with everything. Thanks. Field Marshal Nay said, I'll be in jail for about 3 months, LOL. Oh, what did you do? Maybe I shouldn't ask that if that's too personal, but I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, IXWR13. And they said, your voice is the sweetest thing. You can screen share with us. God bless you, sister. Christ Dazz. Thanks. And I see that, scrolling down here, guys, Juan Diaz said, are you going to celebrate Christmas? I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Last year I made that mistake and got hit by tons of black magic, which nearly killed me. Sorry to hear about that, Juan Diaz. And I haven't celebrated a Christmas since 2014 or so. I'd say 2013, I think, was my last official Christmas. I don't even think I put up a tree in 2014. I mean, once I learned about the history of Christmas and its pagan ties, I stopped celebrating it. I don't have anything against anybody else that does celebrate Christmas, but I personally don't. And it was interesting because in the last chat that we had, some people brought up how, let me Google this real quick because I want to show you guys it. Or I'll just go back to the screen, going away from the chat for a minute. The first 20 years of the United States, Christmas was illegal. So here's a picture that kind of illustrates it, but settlers in New England outlawed Christmas celebrations in 1659. Anyone caught shirking their work duties or feasting was forced to pay a significant penalty of 5 shillings. Christmas returned to England in 1660, but in New England it remained banned until obviously I'm stuttering over my words, until the 1680s. The General Court of Massachusetts Bay Colony passed a law in 1659 that fined anyone caught celebrating Christmas or similar celebrations, forcing them to pay 5 shillings. So I found that interesting. So I did not know that, but I was educated about it by some of you guys in the chat last week. I don't think everyone who educated me on it is in the chat right now, but it's interesting that it was banned the beginning of the United States. And obviously I'm going through Google Images, but even if I go just to Google itself, there are plenty of articles written about Christmas being illegal in the beginning of the United States history. And I see that, sorry guys if my computer's being super loud. I don't know what's happening to it. My computer's like humming so loud right now, but Field Marshal Ney said drunk driving. I've been drinking a lot lately. I'm sorry to hear about that, Field Marshal Ney. I'll be sure to pray for you, but yeah, that's tough, drunk driving. I hope whatever like has been causing you to drink a lot lately, that you can overcome that as well too. And I see that Juan Diaz said Christmas is when children are sacrificed, etc. Yeah, Christmas definitely has its pagan roots. And I see Ben said my dreams make no sense. Crystal Keefe said I'm not celebrating it anymore. I'm glad to hear that. And I see that Field Marshal May said, thanks, I hope this time away will help me reevaluate my life choices. I hope so too, and I'm glad also that everyone in the chat is also, sending their prayers your way as well. And I see Ben said, yeah, but they were Puritans. Puritans were no fun at all. I mean, here in Britain, we had to have a civil war to make any type of sport or fun thing legal. I mean, the Puritans were pretty serious about different things. They were pretty strict. I mean, I don't know if they're the group that also felt that dancing was of the devil as well. And I see Sister Joy said, many blessings, Dazz. I'll miss the show. Come back soon. And I see that Jay Traficante said Santa Saturn. Yes, Santa Saturn. Saturn goes back to all of the black cube worship. I mean, there's just so much you could go down the rabbit hole with Saturn. And Ben said, I drink, but it's a tradition over in Scotland, so it's more like I have to drink. Yeah, I mean, I don't think drinking during the holidays is a bad thing. I don't think alcohol is a bad thing. I mean, I definitely think that some people, getting drunk, that's when it becomes bad because it becomes harmful to you. But like everyone was bringing up wine and spirits and even being merry, being drunk. And I see Jay Traficante said, have you heard of the constant hexagonal storm on Saturn? Yes, I have. Let me see if I can pull that up to you real quick. Some people, of course, who are big proponents of flat Earth will right now tell me that what I'm talking about right now is just CGI images. But yeah, it's weird, this hexagonal storm that you see on Saturn. I mean, you get into the whole Saturn stuff, it just gets crazy. Even it being, I believe it's the 6th planet in the solar system. We know 6 is the number of man, but of course the 3 6s associated with Satan as well. And I see that Peyton Vaughn said, how about the Sabbath day in the 10 Commandments? My folks are Seventh-day Adventists, and I know everyone else keeps to Sunday. What did Christ mean when he said he was the Lord of the Sabbath? I'm not quite sure on that scripture itself, but after I kind of learned more about Sunday worship, and because I'm not a part of a church, I tend to do my biggest prayer and reading of the Bible. I mean, I try to do it daily, but when I do with my family, I do it on Saturdays, opposed to Sundays. But if I were a part of a good church, if I met on Sundays, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But there's definitely been changing from, Saturday to Sunday. And I see Event Skeptic said the flat earthers don't know what they're talking about, Dazz, LOL. Those are fighting words for flat earthers, and I'm not going to get into that debate, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of you get in the hot seat when you start talking about flat earth, whether you're pro or against it. It's like talking about politics for some people. They treat it that serious. It's like if you say one good thing about liberals and conservatives, they come out of the woodworks to get you. And Keisha, Dazz, I live on a reservation side Canada. There's a lot of spiritism here and a lot of crazy things happening, like weird creatures and stuff. It's crazy. That's interesting. I mean, just like, and I'm guessing like when you're talking about a reservation, I'm thinking places where like Native Americans live. And when it comes to like Native American culture, just even the beliefs that were, they had, it's very interesting like to study that. And I don't know, like even like looking at my own like, ethnic backgrounds. My father's from Mexico, but he's like primarily indigenous. So like he's basically like indigenous of Mexico. So it's like basically being Native American just south of the border. So, I have, some heavy like Native ancestry. And even when I was trying to look more up about like my tribe, the Otomi tribe, that's half of me, I realized like just how much they believed. It's just so interesting to me. Some of the things that they believed, and just like I do believe that people's beliefs, even if they go away from it and they convert to Catholicism or other things, which Catholic can absorb anything. That's why people that are practicing voodoo but are into Catholicism as well. Or look at Santa Muerte, to name an example. But the spirits still linger there, and I can believe you that there's definitely a lot going on around there. I see Field Marshal Ney said there was a time when I was doing a lot of shrooms and I started hallucinating gestures and clowns in my room. Interesting. You should go check out, if you haven't already, Field Marshal Ney Understanding Conspiracies channel, because he did a whole series on gestures. And a lot of other people who've done drugs have reported seeing these clowns. I even talked to someone who wasn't on drugs, who was going through a lot of anxiety and hallucinating, and he saw clowns and gestures as well. So it is proof that these are probably manifestations of like demons and Nephilim spirits, as he's spoken on a lot of his videos. Hi, Matthew Lewis. I see that he said, "Hey, beautiful. The supermoon has been making me feel so weird. The dark ones are doing rituals around this time. Apparently, I didn't feel like I have. I definitely feel like I had to stay prayed up." Yes, stay prayed up, guys. I mean, this is the time of year people are doing rituals. People are doing rituals all times of the year, but this is their season of rituals as well. They have their different times that they are more active than others. Hi, Malibu Beats, and I see that he said, "What about Sophia? I think the image of the devil is artificial intelligence." Interesting. And we talked about Sophia at the beginning of this stream. I don't know, like, if you were listening from the beginning to now, or if you just kind of popped in, but I mean, it is interesting when you look at Sophia. I mean, what she represents, and even just like her name and how it goes into Gnosticism. There's so much you could get into when you're talking about Sophia. But artificial intelligence being the image of the beast, that's interesting though. And I see that, sorry guys, I'm repeating myself here because I'm thinking, but Ben said, "Whenever I hear about flat earth, I think of Terry Pratchett's world that held up by a giant sea turtle and 4 elephants." Crystal Keefe said, she's replying to Field, and I see that. Jay Traficante said, "What do you think of Lloyd's size star child?" I've never heard of Lloyd's size star child. I have heard of star children, but not of Lloyd's size. And I see Josh S. said, "I've always wondered if skinwalkers are fallen angels opposed to demons, for they can shapeshift and are mostly physical." Interesting. Yeah, I mean, at least for the legends, I think of skinwalkers, I do kind of affiliate them more with like fallen angels, for sure. I mean, I do believe in shape-shifting. I know some people would think I'm crazy because it's totally against the laws of physics, against the laws of biology, against the laws of nature. I'm a very scientific-minded person, except when it comes to the paranormal. Then, I'm delving into what some people might think of as pseudoscience. But I think there are shapeshifters out there, but I do think a lot of the shapeshifters are more or less fallen angels. But there are legends of shapeshifters, as I've talked about 1,000 times, that my dad's mentioned from his town, about witches that can basically turn into birds and detach their feet and go out and drink blood. I mean, it sounds so like one of those paranormal movies or books, but I mean, I believe that sort of thing is real. Maybe it's fallen angels. Maybe some people, they make a deal with the devil and they're giving some kind of supernatural power. I don't know the laws of the spiritual world, but I've heard some crazy testimonies. And, especially when you're getting back to, I always talk about, like, stories even out of, like, Africa or India. You learn about so many things that here in the West, you're like, that's not possible. But, I mean, this world is crazier than we think. And I see Niels Ottesen said, I'm a flat earth believer, LOL. And like I said, guys, when it comes to, like, believing in flat earth, round earth, I'm not necessarily sold on the idea, but I have no hate or anything against anyone who does. Like, I wouldn't kick you off the chat or argue with you over it. To me, it's important, but at the same time, like I said, salvation's what really matters at the end of the day. And Cage said, yes, Native American, I am Mohawk. But yeah, there's a creature here that looks like an ape, and another that's like a cat creature. But it's like they can disappear and appear at will. Interesting. It is really interesting. I mean, these creatures, this is like what fascinates me so much, like cryptids, what people would call cryptids. But I definitely believe these creatures exist. I think a lot of them are interdimensional, and there's the argument, like, what's the difference between something like what you're seeing, like the creature that looks like an ape, or even like Bigfoot or others, which some might think is a hoax, or Loch Ness Monster, and then demons. I mean, could there be creatures that are flesh and blood and they're able to teleport and do things and they're not demons? Because I do believe there are creatures out there that may not be classified by a zoologist or biologist. And I see Peyton Vaughn said, like werewolves, where are the Nephilim now? I mean, when it comes to like legends of werewolves, I think some of that too could have to do with like when the Watchers were mixing DNA, like in the Book of Giants, they created a lot of spirits that were like half human, half wolf, and it's just really interesting when you read the Book of Giants because you learn about all of this mixing that went on. It was to me like the first history of eugenics. And I see that Peyton Vaughn said also after the flood, yes. There's definitely Nephilim that showed up after the flood. Take David and Goliath, for example, or look at what happened to the children of Israel when they were going to go into the land and it was inhabited by giants and they felt as grasshoppers. And I see that Field Marshal Ney said, oh, wow, that's kind of creepy. That guy talked about exactly what I used to see. Are you referring to what Ann Cage talked about? And Mr. Leonidas, hi, Mr. Leonidas, he said, the devil's image is chaos. There is order and chaos. Everything breaks down to this polarity of love, hate. Yes, the devil does, he pushes hate, he pushes fear, he pushes negative emotions. And, God is love. And, he's light. And, like, I can't remember if the individual who asked me why I'm talking about like the demonic possession at the beginning of the stream is still here. They may not be anymore, but I think it's important, as always, to always uplift like testimonies and share the gospel, and always keep that first. That's always our priority. Like, we shouldn't get so carried away normal we forget about salvation and that deliverance is through Jesus Christ. But we also, I think, should pay attention to a lot of the stuff that goes on as well. And some people say if you pay too much attention to it, you're giving the devil power. But I mean, I think sometimes God leads some of us to talk on it. I won't say everybody's meant to speak on it, but we definitely should be aware. But when I do feel like I'm going too deep into looking into any of this stuff, usually I feel the Holy Spirit checking me and he's telling me, you need to stop looking at this stuff, reading about this stuff, and I focus on him. But definitely, guys, Jesus Christ is the answer to all of this. And I see that Jay Traficante said, have you seen Midnight Meat Train with Bradley Cooper? Very scary, LOL. The name is so terrible, like they did it to divert anyone from watching it. I heard of the name of the movie, but I've never seen it before. And I see Event Skeptic said, they're in the air, the fallen spirits are what plague our thoughts. I agree. I mean, a lot of them do live in the heavens, and they do try to influence our mind with strongholds. And I see Field Marshal Mason Understanding Conspiracy. Yeah, that's the name of the channel. I don't know if you've checked out his videos, but definitely do. Event Skeptic said, Revelation 13:15, the second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. AI is in my mind, Revelation 13:15. It's really interesting, guys, as we're seeing the rise of the artificial intelligence and how this could easily tie into biblical prophecy. Juan Diaz said, I'm from Mexico, and I definitely think that we are under God's wrath, that Psalms 106 talks about, hence all the poverty and drug violence. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, just like you said, poverty and drug violence that plagues Mexico, and I mean, it's just so much going on, I mean, all around the world even, but I'm just thankful to know that in the near future all of this will come to an end, and we will see the return of Jesus Christ. And I know, guys, I said I was going to do like this for like an hour instead of 2 hours. Well, I said I'd make it shorter, but I went over like 6 minutes, and I decided, since I already went over, like I'll give like 9 to 10 more minutes. But if you guys have any like last questions or comments, just feel free to type them really fast. But it's been a really good chat with everyone, and I'm going to miss talking to you guys on Monday nights at 7 p.m. But I'll let you guys know when the next live stream will be. But this is the last one of 2017, and as always, guys, it's always good talking to you and hearing you guys' comments and thoughts. I see Event Skeptic said, I'm thankful to see you all here tonight. Thank you for giving us hope. Take care, Dazz. I'll stay tuned. Thank you, Event Skeptic. Same to you. Alex Valdez said, we're going to miss you. I'm going to miss you guys, too. I really am. I really enjoy doing these Monday night chats. I mean, when I first started doing them, it was really awkward for me. I was really nervous. And you guys could probably hear it the first couple of streams. Even now, I still get a little bit of anxiety before I go on. But talking to you guys always makes everything better. And it's always amazing just how much information we all have that we can bring together and talk about. And I see Crystal Keefe said, love you, sister. Thanks. Love you all. Be good, Field. We won't forget you. Yes, Field. Our prayers are with you when you go to jail. We hope that your time there you can reflect and just grow as a person as well. Juan Diaz said, we will miss you, Dazz. All thanks. Yeah, guys, I mean, it really is a pleasure talking to you all. And I know some live streams, they focus more on like larger channels. And I do look forward to maybe in the future bringing on more content creators who do make videos. But I think just talking to everyday listeners or people who might be really small who put out a video or two, it's important, just as important as talking to a large channel, because you guys sometimes are just as knowledgeable or more knowledgeable as some of these big content creators, and just talking to you guys and getting a chance to share with each other is always helpful. And Josh has said, we'll miss the chats for now. Will you continue posting on the community tab? Great show. Yes, guys, I will continue posting on the community tab for those of you who watch it. The reason why I'm stopping the streams a little early is simply because I got people coming in and out of the house, and the way the schedule was for me this semester allowed me to do Monday night shows with little interruption. So even next year, I might have to rearrange the show. It might be Tuesday or Wednesday nights. Or Friday nights with Dazz instead of Monday, but I'm hoping to keep it Monday. We'll have to see how my schedule is. But when the time and the date comes up, I'll make sure to let you guys know. But check out the community tab if you haven't already, and I'll try to continue posting videos as well. That's something I always manage to do despite how busy the season gets. But thank you all again, and I'll talk to you guys in another live chat in 2018, which is hard to believe, but thank you guys for always being awesome. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful rest of 2017. And I hope that you all have a wonderful week as well. And take care, and look out for next Wednesday's video. And I'll keep posting in the community tab. But I'm gonna miss you guys and love you all. Bye.